Back in October, DoorDash started making changes to the customer app in the way that they saw tipping options. Is this good or bad for Dashers? In this video, I'll show you the good, the bad, and give suggestions on what DoorDash should do with the customer app and the tipping options that are win-win for everyone. Hi everyone, Gig Coach Jake here, your go-to for fact-based gig economy news, tips, and tricks. Now, like I said, I want to discuss the tipping options, the good, the bad, and give suggestions on what DoorDash may want to do. With the changes, we went from a percentage based, like you see right here, on all subtotals, from $0 on the way up, all the way up. Now, in my market in particular, from $0 to $120 is a flat base, like you see over here. At $120 above, it kicks into the percentage based back to what it used to look like. Now, on subtotals that are above $40, a couple examples right here, we're making and seeing less. And as it goes higher, and I'll show you examples in just a little bit, you're making less in tips than you were seeing before. That's a big deal. You're now making less money doing the same job because they changed the tipping options in the customer app. Why? Again, I'm going to show you the difference here in just a second, but just use an example from before, a $45 subtotal. You could see the Dasher tip $5.87, as where over here on the default, the $7, there's three options. Yes, the 7 is higher than a $5.87 on the default, but a lot of tips I saw were 20 or 25%. That would mean $8 to $10 plus range. It'd be more than at 7 or 9. So therefore, you're losing $1 for each order and delivery simply on the fact of the tipping options. And again, this is just on the $45 subtotals. As it goes higher, you start to lose more than that $1. The percentage goes down. Think of that default tip is now around 15%. It goes down to 10% and even a little bit lower as that bill subtotal goes up. And again, my market, it's at $120 where the percentages kick back in from the flat dollar amount. Some markets, it's $100. They're always testing and changing things. Now, this is a big deal. Again, like I said, we're losing money simply on the tipping option. This makes sense for subtotals below $40. We're actually seeing an increase. And like I said, good and the bad of this, and I'm going to show and break it down in just a bit. Now, bear with me. I'll try to rush through this. I'm going to give a few examples so you can really see what the customer app looks like and why we're seeing less earnings on higher subtotals. Now, here's subtotals in the $50 and $60 range where we used to see, again, different tips for the amounts when it was a percentage based. They're using the same flat dollar amount in that range from $50 on up to $70. Think about it. Think of how much you're losing. So for example, here we have $50, $60. We'll take 60, the right in between. 10% would be the $6. 15% would be $9. 20% would be $12. Again, as it goes higher, you're losing more money. It didn't seem like such a big deal when it was the $45 subtotal, right? You're like, $1, no big deal. Well, guess what? If you do 100 deliveries a week, that $1 times 100, that's $100 a week you're losing. Doesn't seem so small now, does it? That's $400 a month. That's a car payment a month you're losing simply because of the options in the customer tipping feature, the customer app. Makes no sense. Now let's take a look at some of these higher subtotals and what they look like. And here's subtotals from the $70 to $90 range. Again, we'll just use the 70 and 80 that I have here for examples, but it does not change. The option is the same for that huge range. And we'll go right in the middle again there, $80. 10% would be $8, 15% would be $12, 20% would be $16. Nowhere near, and we're not even talking about 25%. Again, losing a lot more than $1, and for every delivery you do, that adds up a great deal. Now, DoorDash isn't losing any money by changing this back to from flat dollar amount to a percentage based. In a second, I'll talk about the good and why it does make sense to have this tipping option for the lower subtotals. Then the $90 to $110 range. Again, big big loss. We'll go right there at $100. 10%, $10 default. You're now seeing a 10% default where you used to see 15%. And just imagine, on these subtotals that are high like that, that's a lot of money. 5% of $100, that's $5 you just lost in a delivery. Now that $400 a month, that's starting to increase a lot if your person ends up with a lot of higher paying deliveries or higher subtotal deliveries. And again, 20%, that's $20, $25, $25. Pretty easy using $100, but anyhow, now you can kind of see the amount of money you're losing and why you're not seeing a lot of these higher offers that you used to on the high subtotals. Now, having 10% as the default and less than 10% for these big bills makes no sense because sometimes we have to wait longer. There's usually a lot more items that we have to transport and take care of. It's not like 2 or 3 items or a $40 subtotal. So again, it makes no sense to have flat tipping dollar amounts on subtotals above $40. It should be percentage based. And again, there is a good to this, and I'll show in just a second. Now the $123 above $120 kicks into the percentage base. You can really see the tip amounts that you'll get. Right there you see the $18.47 on this $103 order. Or I'm sorry, $123. That's more than you just saw on a subtotal that was $10 less. Makes no sense. And think about it. There's very few of these offers that are above $100, $120. There's a lot that are between $50 and $100. And then the majority are less than $40. So we start thinking about in relations to percentage of offers we receive and how much money we might be losing. Yeah, they're percentage based. It's great that you do have it $120, but that's a very small percentage of the offers and deliveries that we do. How many of you are actually seeing any $100, $120 plus subtotals to where this benefits you? A lot of you are saying, not me. The majority of you are not seeing these. Now, a lot of you are seeing the $40 to $100 where you're losing money on this change. But those that accept anything and everything, you're probably making a little more money than you used to with the changes because the percentages are higher per the subtotal. I'm going to show you that right now. An example of what I mean. Because some of you are like, what the heck are you talking about? Like I said, there's a good side to this. All those low offers, the majority that we do see, now we could see a higher percentage. For example, here's a $15 subtotal. The default is $3. That is 1/5 or 20%. You're now seeing 20% as the default instead of 15%. Again, that adds up fast. What would 15% of this be? It'd be about that $2, somewhere around there. Anyhow, you're now seeing 20% as the default instead of 15 or 10. So again, simple, quick example of how you're making more and how this is a good thing for subtotals lower than $40. But those that are above 40, it makes no sense whatsoever. I'll show one more example of the good. Now, $20 subtotal range, you see the Dasher tip, $5. That's 25%. Yes, you just saw 20% as a default. Now you're seeing 25% and a little bit less as that 20 goes up into the $27, $28. But using $20, 25% is your default and then $6. That's crazy. $6 and another. Here's where we're making more money with these deliveries. So for those of you who are thinking, I'm making way more money with these changes, I don't know what the heck you're talking about or what you're whining or crying about. I'm not whining or crying about anything. I'm just sharing the facts and giving suggestions on what DoorDash might want to do to help all of you Dashers increase your earnings and to get more of these offers delivered and to attract more gig workers to the DoorDash driver app. The last thing I want to share, I found that DoorDash is increasing these options as the delivery distance is further. In other words, they're encouraging customers, you could see in the writing down there, The recommended Dasher tip is based on the delivery distance and effort. 100% of the tip goes to your Dasher. Now I love this. It suggests that the higher tipping options, so maybe somebody noticed that, they're like, wait a minute, when I ordered, a closer place for the same amount, the tip was different. Some people will notice. It right there suggests that because the delivery distance is further, that there's a higher tip suggested. That's why there's different options. On top of that, I am seeing DoorDash kick in a little bit extra as well. Not always. There are a lot of times where they're paying only the $3 and they're increasing the tipping options for the customer on a subtotal that for shorter distance, they would have lower. For example, you see $5, $6, $7 on this one. Normally that customer might see $4, $5, $6. So an extra dollar. Just some little things they're doing with the customer app and tipping and testing things out right now. Like I said several times in this video, it makes no sense for them to have a flat dollar amount like they have now or any changes above $40. So from $40 on up, DoorDash, please change this back to percentage based. That way Dashers can increase their earnings without you increasing the base pay. You want to find ways for us to make more earnings and for you to keep your margins down? Change this ridiculous feature that you have right now on the DoorDash customer app. We love the way you have it up to $39.99. From $40 on up, those options make no sense. Please change it back to percentage based. We thank you a great deal. With that being said, I hope you all have a great day, evening. Stay tuned, a lot more great videos coming. And as always, work hard, but work smarter in the gig economy. And hashtag low pay, no way.